Welcome to McDougall. On this show, legendary singer Grace Slick will tell you things about animals that I dare you to ignore. Hello, I'm Wayne Judd. And now, here with a free prescription for your mind, Dr. John.
People think of prescription, they usually think of drugs, don't they? They think of medications. They don't think of, but a prescription can be education on diet and lifestyle.
Yes, why not?
My prescription to you would be to eat well, go for a walk every day.
For the mind. Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
So,
well, you know,
what do you have here?
Well, I was going to ask you about headaches. It's something you and I haven't talked about, and I've had headaches all my life.
And whose pills are these?
Well, these are mine. I just have a little assortment that I carry with me everywhere.
You honestly take those pills?
I do. I took several this morning, John. I've been putting it off, but I knew sooner or later I'd have to confess. So, can I just
sure
kind of
That's
ask
amazing.
you about these?
Do you know, Wayne, sick people take drugs?
Now, what does that mean?
Healthy people don't. So we have to deal with this. We have to get you.
Well, let me just tell you my problem. I've had headaches all my life.
Okay.
And so I've experimented with the different things. Now, I'll use this as a pointer. These are aspirin here. These are, what is the generic for Excedrin?
Acetaminophen is what it's called.
Acetaminophen.
But Excedrin is usually
if it's more than 2 syllables, I have trouble with it.
Also, unless it's aspirin-free.
Okay. And then here is a product that's over the counter now called Aleve.
Okay, that would be a naproxen, I believe.
Naproxen, yeah. And so
those are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, and this is ibuprofen here, of course.
Again, like Advil. So you got a couple of those.
These are still kind of left over from before. I had a physician once prescribe this. This is amitriptyline.
Oh, that's an antidepressant.
Yeah, I know it is.
Because this show really's been getting to you, huh?
No, his point was that this
I understand. They give it for
headaches.
people with chronic pain.
For headaches, yeah,
right.
and it kind of helps. Now, these here are the word silver appears on there big, and you take them after you're 50. You know what those are, don't you? They're vitamins.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's other stuff.
And you have
in here.
Imitrex, which is
well, what I did is I have sumatriptan in case all else fails. I can actually give myself a shot.
All right, but let me ask you:
Are
you still getting migraine headaches?
No, I'm actually not getting migraines anymore. But
what was the difference?
Well, the difference is that they're easier to kill if they come along.
No, what made the difference for you not getting migraines now as opposed to 3 months ago?
I don't know, unless it's the diet.
Would that make a difference? Change your diet.
I did change my diet.
Migraine headache sufferers, when you look at it from the point of view of food allergy, you get a 70 to 90% relief of migraine headaches in people. And this is published in the scientific literature. Now, the most common cause of food allergy is dairy protein, and then would be eggs. And some people are intolerant to certain vegetable proteins, but usually it's the dairy and the eggs that if you get off those, many people who suffer from migraines get relief. The dairy also causes sinus headaches in many people because it causes closure, swelling of the sinus tissues, and you get accumulation of fluid and you get headaches.
You think diet has a lot to do with headaches even?
Tremendous.
Well, we haven't talked about that before, and I thought we might.
Well, I think it's important that we do because otherwise people end up like you, Wayne, and that is that they can see the only solution to the problem is pills. But actually, diet and lifestyle. Now, diet is a very, very important one, but let's not miss a couple other things. Caffeine is very important.
To do or not to do?
Well, people can get headaches from drinking caffeine, but most of the time they come from withdrawal from caffeine. Okay. And that can happen. Say you have a cup of coffee in the morning, then late in the evening you may go through withdrawal. Or on the weekend you may drink less coffee than you do during the weekdays, and so you have withdrawal and you get headaches. And of course, every serious alcohol drinker knows about the association between alcohol, a hangover, and headaches.
Yes.
And so there are lots of things that people have the potential to control. And so before you say, you know, I'm just a headache sufferer and there's nothing that I can do about it, I mean, consider your diet and also your beverages, and cigarette smoke would be another one that people may get headaches from, the carbon monoxide.
But I'd like to ask you a question. I think, for example, one of the reasons I take pills is not because I have headaches, and this is going to sound a little silly, but...
Preventive, right?
Well, yeah, you know, you talk about people being afraid of cancer, people being afraid of prostate, people being worried about heart disease.
Yeah, but these things have serious side effects.
Yeah, well, my point is that I'm afraid, my greatest fear medically is the headache, the debilitating headache. And so I do this as a preventive.
Have you ever considered that since you've changed your diet, that maybe you won't get a headache?
I ought to try to go cold?
You ought to do a test. You ought to do a test. You ought to see if you can live without the pills. Wouldn't there be something? Because these pills have serious side effects.
Okay,
They're associated with, well, for example, Tylenol And a little bit more than recommended doses can cause liver problems in people. Tylenol can cause kidney problems in people. Aspirin has been associated with kidney problems, with intestinal bleeding. Your non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, like the ones we mentioned here, are associated with very serious stomach distress and bleeding
I know my
problems.
stomach is distressed. This morning I took one of these, and I took one of these, and I
Wayne,
took one
I think
of
since you've made
these,
that
and one of
bold-
these. I took 4 pills this
I
morning.
think since you've made that bold step, and besides the fact since you're associated with me, you owe yourself the big test. See if you can live without the drugs.
This is
you can do it. You can do it. No question about it.
Well, thank you, John.
Yes, and when we come back, we're going to be with Grace Slick, and it's going to be a great, great segment. So I look forward to it.
Why should you watch Hello Channel? Because learning English should be inexpensive, and learning English should be available to everyone. If you want a brighter future, join us and say hello.
And welcome back. We have with us Grace Slick. She was with the Jefferson Airplane. Are you doing any performing these days?
No,
Not at all.
stopped about
What do you
5
think
years
about our discussion of pills? You have a reputation in the past of being involved with pills a bit.
Yeah, well, there's a line in a song, one pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small, but I was never very much of a pill head. I got in trouble with liquid.
Alcohol?
Yeah.
And those days are behind you.
Who knows? I hope so, but who knows?
For now.
I can't predict anything.
You've also made some pretty radical changes in your diet over the years.
Yeah, that started with a sort of I don't know if you call it a moral attitude. It's just that I realized what I felt about a couple of animals, both of whom happen to have black eyes, a panda and a raccoons. And I thought I couldn't eat those.
Well, nobody does, do
So
they?
what if, yeah, the Chinese occasionally will eat it, used to.
Disgusting.
And yeah, people went out coon hunting, called coon hunting, eat raccoons, they still do. But I thought George Bernard Shaw, although he's made some errors in political judgment, enjoying Hitler and so forth, did say, I don't like to eat my friends, animals are my friends. So that was the way it started.
So you got to a healthier diet yourself.
Through the animals.
Through the animals. You know,
Then I
so many
started-
people do that.
Then I started studying biomedical research and realized that it's healthy for us to not eat any animal products,
Right.
and we aren't built to eat. We aren't carnivores.
Yeah, but your main concern would be for the other creatures, not the human beings. I mean,
It
that's how
was.
it was, but now you care about
We're
it.
selfish. Now I
Yes.
sort of care about myself. I have.
Well, Grace, I don't think that's
I have
unusual.
dairy slips, and you were just talking about something that's very interesting because I've got a THC, or they call it THJ, or whatever they call it, jaw.
Temporomandibular
Yeah.
joint.
And you were mentioning the sinuses getting. Would dairy have anything to do with that?
Yeah.
You
know, it's
I haven't
about
noticed.
60% of the people that come to my program at St. Helena Hospital have postnasal drip, sinus trouble, headaches. Within a week, almost every one of these people is free of their postnasal drip, sinus, hoarseness, and headache problems. 1 week, because we take them, of course, all the dairy is gone.
Yeah.
Skim milk, whole business. So you think that's a good
the
thought
meat,
for you?
fish, chicken, all that kind of stuff, I didn't have a problem, but I had a problem with dairy. Oh, look at that cheese.
Well, that's your next step. And, you know, people, well, you could even take it from an animal rights point of view if you wanted. I have
know.
a little trouble relating to this, but a lot of people think it's, forget the people, worry about the cows.
Well,
Look at how hard they got to work.
But people don't care really, okay?
Yeah, I think
if you're
they
talking
do.
to people who are not
No.
animal rights, you're not going to win them over by saying, you're hurting a raccoon, you're hurting a cow. They're going to go, hey,
Grace,
screw
that has
it.
not been my experience. My experience has been, and I had this, there's a movement called Farm Animal Reform Movement, Farm, okay. This group originally was interested, or their propaganda, their advertisement was for people. You know, let's eat a vegetarian diet to save people's lives. They didn't get any donations at all, no support. They became the Farm Animal Reform Group, and they can hardly open the envelopes fast enough from the donations.
From an animal standpoint,
Yes,
huh?
I think more people get to vegetarian eating through concern for animals than get there for concern for their own selves. I believe
Really?
it. Yeah, and of course, that's not my perspective. I try and get people to healthy eating because I want them to be concerned about themselves and their spouses and children. But people just love animals, so I think what you're doing is going to bring a lot more people to their senses than what I'm doing.
Yeah, my daughter did it that way. She looked at a picture of a pig, and it says, "Does your food have a face?" And she just stopped, bam, like that. No dairy, no nothing. This is years ago.
Right.
She's better at it than I am. I still go. I'm really self-willed. So if I like something, by God, it's, you know, it's one of those moron attitudes that'll get you in trouble, and usually does.
And I can confirm what you've said, because in my case, I've only been a vegetarian for maybe 5 months. When I thought I would be a vegetarian at one time in my life, or along through life, I always thought it would not be for my health, because I was healthy. But breeding to kill was something that I took seriously, and it bothered me for many, many years. Growing up on a farm and butchering animals and so on, I was used to it at that time. But the longer I lived, the more the concept of breeding to kill didn't seem like a very humane or good way to live.
I think the American Indians have a take on that as far as meat eating, which they do irregularly. And somebody, I was talking earlier, what's the culprit? A refrigerator. People could not keep meat. They could not keep dairy. And the only people who were dying of the stuff we're dying of now were very wealthy. They could send out somebody to go kill a deer for them. They'd send out somebody to go milk the cow. But the poor people have always died of viral diseases, not 100%, but for the most part. And the rich people die of excess. And it's still kind of that way. But now more people have access to rich people's food, meaning meat and dairy. And it's like Dr. Neil Bernard said, I've never pulled any broccoli out of anyone's arteries.
And you know, it's real easy. If you think
You ought to see the fat. Oh, I saw one of those videotapes of a guy pulling, and it looks like a snot yellow worm about this long out of a guy's arteries. This is just dairy products.
Anybody want to give up dairy products?
Well, if you think about it, people
I'm
have...
sorry, this is not that kind of show, is it?
It is. It's that kind of show. If you think about it, it's very easy for people to be introduced to a new fruit or vegetable.
Yeah.
And we could go out into this audience with a new fruit or vegetable that we had from, say, another country, a new name and everything, and they would try it. I'm sure they would. But what if you brought them a new animal to eat? Say we had a new kangaroo or a dog or some kind of animal that they wanted to try. They would find it repulsive, just like they get upset when they find out they're serving horse in the hamburger stand down the street. They close them out of business. Or when I went to France and found out they served horse on the menu. It is naturally repulsive to think about eating other animals, but because the human being is so adaptable, we've gotten used to doing such bizarre things
It also
as
doesn't
eating
look
pigs
like
and
it.
cows. And
In other words, you get an apple, it looks like an apple. But you get a hamburger, that doesn't look like a cow. And chicken, I mean, it looks like its own thing.
And they really don't call it cow, do they?
No.
They call it beef or a hamburger.
Yeah, and a chicken doesn't look like a chicken. It's a bunch of
They call it
chunks of
pepperoni
something.
sausage.
Yes.
They don't call it, look at this little piece of pig on my pizza.
I know.
Yeah.
Fried dead
Animal
chicken.
rights, that's what we're talking about. Well, we're going to find out about your concerns for animal rights and the things that you've been doing, Grace Slick, and I know you've been making a big difference. And it's great that you've got your name out there and you're converting people and getting their interest. And we'll be back in just a moment with Grace Slick.
For a brighter future, just say hello.
And welcome back. I'm with a woman who has no trouble getting attention and publicity, and that's Grace Slick. You're in the news all the time.
Do you want to elaborate? Forget it.
No, everybody knows the stories, Grace. But with your publicity, you've turned it around to something that's nonprofit, and that's your concern to help with animal rights and experimentation. Is that correct? I mean, that's one of your big things, right? You don't want us to do animal experiments.
Well,
Experiments on animals for human good is the way.
when you say you don't want us, what do you mean?
Us medical doctors, us guys.
Them butting
guys over
heads
there.
with the medical community.
That's right. I still do think of myself as a real doctor, even though I'm a renegade.
But since the systems on animals are different from our systems, and my system is different from yours, it's that tricky. Why spend that much money on something that has such...
So you feel the results are irrelevant, and you know you'd get great argument. Have you been on shows where...
In other words, let's separate morality from science. let's say it doesn't matter. Let's
Sure,
say they don't have souls.
Sure,
They
you don't
all
care,
that,
you don't
all
care
that
about the
soul
animal
stuff.
rights. You just want a kid.
Their construction is different. In other words, you would not put bananas into your Mercedes, would you?
I don't have
Because it is built to
any
eat.
idea what that has to do with it. But go ahead.
Because animals are different. They have different metabolism. They're quadrupeds. Like I talked to this guy who was studying hip replacement by using greyhounds. That's a quadruped. We're bipeds. What are you going to learn on something where our backs are always going out because we're bipeds, and that's a lot of weight to carry in a different way.
Do you think always, under all circumstances, animal research has been useless or could have been done better without animals?
That's always the question, and I think, is it always better to brush your teeth at 8?
Or do you think we ought to just be more discriminate about it and make sure that we don't do experiments that really don't end up bettering humankind?
But how can you know before you start? So wouldn't
Well,
it be
there
more...
are things that would be quite obvious.
Let me put it this way then. Wouldn't it be more cost-effective, and wouldn't you indeed save a lot more lives if you were to promote, with the same amount of money that goes into biomedical research, prevention? In other words, you stop it before it happens.
Prevention doesn't pay any money. We can't do that.
Rather than
Doctors can't make money
I
on
know.
prevention. Neither can drug companies. Forget it, Grace. It's a waste.
Why slit your finger and then put a Band-Aid on
Well,
it?
you know,
Why not slit the finger? You don't have to worry about the Band-Aid.
Now you're getting too logical. That's not like you. I do understand the concern, and you know I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people who are concerned that we do experiments on animals that are unnecessary. I remember when I went through medical school, and back in those days I thought a lot different than I do now, but we had to do surgery on dogs. And now that I look at it, it was complete waste of a dog. And I learned
And
nothing
of your time,
of
and
my
your
time,
mind.
right? And I did find it even disgusting then, but I can see where there are many circumstances where it's not worth the expense of an animal's life and the suffering of an animal's life for educational purposes, and also experimentation. I have no problem with that at all. I think the only question I still do have in my mind is can we extend that to always? And I know that you are convinced it's always.
Well, I think if, because I've done shows with this gentleman before, if people were to pick up what you're saying about how to eat and how to live and so forth, you wouldn't need that stuff anyway.
Well, listen, we'd save so many lives. We'd have to invent new diseases to get rid of all the people, right? Yeah. Hey, Wayne, do we have any questions from the audience?
I think we do. I think we have a few questions we'll take from the audience at this time.
And people respond real well to you, don't they? I mean, in terms of...
If they don't have blue uniforms on, they generally respond to me.
No, you don't do well with those, yes.
We have a question from a gentleman here.
Do you consider eating fish as an unhealthy diet? Because, you know, some Oriental culture, they consider fish as like source of protein and calcium. And all
Yeah,
the other
right
good
now
stuff.
you can probably get more gin out of a fish meal and mercury and stuff like that. That's one of the problems if you don't take the animal rights agenda, but take just human, is that there's a lot of crud in the fish itself. That would be from that point of view.
So
That's a problem
do you
with
categorize fish to the same, you know, like do you put in a category of beef, fish, and chicken all in the same, or?
Kind of because of the
How about from an
toxics.
animal? Yeah, but how about from an animal rights point of view? Do fish suffer?
Yeah.
They don't. I've heard fish don't mind getting killed. Is that true?
Yeah, that's why you see them going like this on the end of a hook.
right.
They don't mind that. They're just having fun.
I've done commercial salmon fishing. So
Why can't men
hip
go up
deep.
and just hang out, and look at the trees and everything? You know, why do you have to be killing something while you're looking at the trees? I don't get it.
You've got a lot of support there.
We have another question.
Yeah, I was wondering, when you first became a vegetarian, how did that impact, like, your relationships with, like, you know, your family, your friends that weren't vegetarians? Like, if you'd go out, let's say, for dinner, and they were all, like, you know, wondering why you couldn't eat what they were eating, and how did you deal with their reactions at first?
Well, rock and roll helps because I have a serious attitude problem, and that is I do what I want. You want your steak? Fine, kill yourself. I mean, I don't see why, you know, you don't have to worry
But
about
how about
it.
a little kinder answer to her? Like maybe she could tell her, well, as you do in your home, you eat your thing and you let your significant other eat his.
Yeah, see, we're
And
learning all the time. I'm trying
Yeah.
to learn how to be gracious instead of saying,
You're doing better, Grace. That's why they gave you that name.
John, we have time, I think, for one more quick question.
Yeah.
I agree with Grace on the moralistic value about animals, But if you're breeding animals and they grow and they grow, where do we go from there?
Yeah, they're a crop.
Somebody was mentioning that earlier, one of the fellows backstage, is breeding animals was what made him crazy. The American Indians have gone hunting. In other words, we were talking about the refrigerator being a culprit. If you remove the moral thing, if you eat some animal fat in the form of dairy or animals or something once in a while, it probably isn't going to kill you. We're sort of omnivorous. But
how about just from the moralistic point of
breeding
view?
a sentient being and keeping them packed in and shooting them up with antibiotics which come back to you and hormones which come back to you. I was going to ask you, does that annihilate possibly the way you could use an antibiotic if you keep putting it in there through meat? In other words, you're negating when you really need an antibiotic.
Too complicated for me, Grace. We're going to have to take a little break, and I'll have to think about this. And we'll be right back with Grace Slick.
Hello, I'm Ruth. Learning to speak English can change your life. Knowing this valuable language can provide you with so many opportunities in education as well as the job market. Now you can learn English just by watching television. Introducing Hello Channel, a channel designed to help you learn English right in your own home. You can choose from Hello Channel's classroom programming, or you can watch great entertainment. All of it will teach you how to speak English. Hello Channel offers programs on every level, so you'll find something exactly right for you. Start today to build success by learning English. For a brighter future, say hello.
And welcome back. We're with Grace Slick from the Jefferson Airplane. Long time ago. But that's how they know you, except if they read the newspapers. Then they know you from other things that we won't talk about. People get to healthier eating several ways. They get there for concern for the environment, which is good. They get there for concern of animal rights, which is your issue, which I have great respect for. Or they get there like I've been trying to preach for a long time, and that's concern for human beings.
Selfish is okay. You want to live better, live longer?
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
The accomplishment is the same, and that is we have less slaughter of animals, no matter how you get here.
Yeah, that's true.
And you don't worry about the economics of the people you're making life difficult for.
I mean, those that grow the animals.
Exactly.
I feel as sorry for them as I feel for the people who grow tobacco.
All right.
I mean, what else can I say?
It's a dying industry.
There are other industries to get into, and why should somebody eat a diet where you get breast cancer, your kids die from childhood diabetes? I mean, it just makes no sense at all. No, sorry, Wayne, I will not buy that excuse.
All right.
Grace, you're doing absolutely wonderful work, and I
well, we're
applaud you for it.
all in this together.
We really are. I really applaud you.
Great
for it.
having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing a wonderful job. Just keep it up, and let everybody know about it. And thank you very much for being with us, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.